Hi everyone. In this video, we will be looking into a game between Grandmaster Jose Martinez and Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. This game takes place on the title Tuesday on August 27th. Jose Martinez, starting with the white pieces, goes for 1 e4, g6 by Magnus, d4, d6, c3, knight to f6, bishop to d3, bishop to g7, knight to f3, and Magnus goes for castling. Martinez also castled, knight to c6, h3, e5, rook to e1, rook to e8, d5, knight to b8, c4, a5, knight to c3, knight to a6, bishop to e3, knight to d7, a3, knight on a to c5, bishop to c2, knight to b6, b4, a takes on b4, a takes on b4, rook takes on a1, queen takes on a1, knight to a6, bishop takes on b6, c takes on b6, queen to a3, f5, knight to b5, bishop to h6, queen to b3, rook to f8, queen to c3, queen to f6, queen to b3, bishop d7, knight to c3, bishop to f4, bishop to d3, queen to e7, rook to a1, rook to b8, rook to e1, queen to f8, knight to e2, f takes on e4, bishop takes on e4, bishop to h6, knight to g3, rook to c8, bishop to d3, knight to b8, bishop to b1, bishop to f4, knight to e4, bishop to f5, c5, b takes on c5, b takes on c5, bishop takes on e4, bishop takes on e4, rook takes on c5, queen takes on b7, queen to c8, queen to b6, queen to c7, queen to b1, king to g7, g3, bishop to h6, king to g2, knight to d7, knight to h4, bishop to g5, knight to f3, bishop to c1, knight to h4, knight to f8, rook to e2, bishop to g5, knight to f3, rook to c1, queen to b2, bishop to f6, rook to c2, rook takes on c2, queen takes on c2, queen takes on c2, and bishop takes on c2, knight to d7, knight to d2, bishop to d8, knight to e4, bishop to c7, king to f3, knight to b6, bishop to b3, knight to c8, bishop to c2, knight to e7, bishop to b3, knight to f5, bishop to c4, king to f8, h4, king to e7, king to g2, bishop to b6, bishop to d3, h6, knight to d2, king to f6, knight to e4 with check, king to g7, knight to d2, knight to d4, knight to e4, bishop to c7, knight to c3, knight to b3, knight to b5, bishop to b8, bishop to c4, knight to c5, knight to c3, e4, f3, e takes on f3, king takes on f3, knight to d7, bishop to b5, knight to e5 with check, king to f4, bishop to a7, knight to e4, knight to f7, bishop to e8, knight to d8, king to f3, bishop to b8, bishop to d7, knight to f7, bishop to e6, knight to e5 with check, king to e2, bishop to c7, king to e3, king to f8, king to e2, king to e7, king to e3, bishop to b6 with check, king to e2, knight to c4, king to f3, bishop to d4, king to e2, bishop to e5, g4, bishop to f4, h5, g5, knight to f2, king to f6, knight to d3, bishop to e3, bishop to f5, bishop to d4, bishop to e4, knight to e3, bishop to f3, king to e7, knight to b4, bishop to c5, knight to d3, bishop to b6, knight to b4, king to d7, knight to c6, bishop to c5, knight to a5, king to c7, knight to c6, knight to c4, king to d3. So after 98 moves, both Jose Martinez and Magnus Carlsen is having equal position. Now Magnus will play knight to b2 with check. This is a mistake, and after this move, Martinez is having an advantage of plus 2.6. And Martinez continues with king to e4, knight to c4, king to f5, knight to d2, bishop to e2, knight to b3, king to g6, knight to d4, knight takes on d4, bishop takes on d4, king takes on h6, king to d7, king takes on g5, king to e7, king to f5, king to f7, g5, king to g7, h6 with check, king to h7, king to g4. It was in this position. After 109 moves in the game, Magnus Carlsen has resigned the game to Jose Martinez. Jose Martinez has ended up winning the title Tuesday on August 27th.